Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt, and welcome back to Far Lands or Bust. That was a very deep. There we go. That was a very deep, throaty woof from Wolfie to start off the episode there. So I felt like mocking it. There's a What is wrong with you? Oh, all right. That skeleton has expired. He ceases to be. He is no more. So I will collect his residue, and we will begin episode 352 of Far Lands or Bust. Continuing on, walking west to the Far Lands. Hello, good morning, good day, good evening, and good night. We are continuing. Yeah. What do we got here? We're all right on the inventory. Didn't need the cobblestone. Kind of a wasted inventory space. I saw a question in the comments. Why do you throw away the cobblestone? Don't need it. Don't want it. I carry enough dirt around for building blocks, and my inventory, my backpack is full. My backpack is full. Limited space, limited resources for this journey. We're not really looking to build anything or start any castle or anything with cobblestone, so we discard of it every morning, pretty much, when I remember. But yeah, like I said, it's episode 352 of Far Lands Bust. Today is Wednesday, May 7th, 2014. There are cacti in the way. Woof, Wolfie knows. Although he sometimes just presses his nose directly into the cactus, thus causing a bunch of damage. I suppose. Sheep, 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 yoink. Indeed. All right, continuing on. We're still raising money. We're still continuing on to raise money for Child's Play charity, that is. Over at farlandsorbust.com. Up to $1,616.68 raised this Season 5 of Far Lands or Bust. Very awesome, and very grateful for the continued generosity of you Farlanders out there. You can keep doing that, like I said, at farlandsorbust.com. Leave a question or a topic or a something for me to talk about in your comments. When you donate, you can leave a comment, and that's where I take these questions from. Been a little bit lacking lately, and I'm running out of things for which to talk about. So please, I beg of you, continue with the pleasant questions and whatnot in your comments with your donation, and they will be much appreciated. I do have, a couple of people have been noting on Twitter and elsewhere that I did not mention that there is a new awesome feature to the International Space Station. We talk about space and space flight and astronomy every now and again here in Far Lands of Us, but the International Space Station, with the recent launch and docking of the Dragon capsule, the most recent one, on board were HD video cameras that they attached to the exterior of the International Space Station. So now you can watch live footage, HD video on Ustream directly from the International Space Station. They're pointed down at Earth. Some of them have a few, a little bit off to the side, they have a few parts of the International Space Station that you can see in frame, which is very cool. But that's pretty much awesome. It's pretty much, live 24 hours a day. Obviously, I don't know that they broadcast too much during the nighttime pass. The nighttime, they orbit one orbit every 90 minutes, so every 45 minutes they're on the nighttime side of the planet. And I'm not sure, it doesn't seem like they broadcast during those moments, but it's very cool, and you can go check that out. I'll put a link in the video description if I remember, but there is also a special NASA TV ISS feed that occasionally went to the external cameras that weren't HD. Careful, Wolfie! And even sometimes they would go into the internal cameras if there was activity with the astronauts on board, and you would get the live radio feed between the NASA mission control and the astronauts up in space. And that still exists, but that was always very, very spotty and really didn't have too much of a regular programming. But this one is very cool that it's HD video. It's basically, it's a test to see how they have different cameras. Whoa! Hello, mouse. Let's just suddenly turn around. They have different cameras, and it's actually they're testing the longevity and what issues may or may not come up with cameras, digital cameras that are left in Earth orbit over long periods of time, because, you know, obviously that's pretty important. Not only is it cool for kind of public outreach, it's also, you know, pretty vital for being able to keep visual tabs on whatever mission is going on at the time for the eventual long-term missions, possibly to Mars or whatnot. Indeed, so that's very cool. And, yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I almost want to be able to find a way, and I'm sure there is a way, to, like, set that as my desktop background, as, like, a live video feed from the International Space Station just in the background. Oh, that would be pretty cool. But yeah, it's cool, and you can look up, there are different websites, and even the NASA website that gives you a live graph as to where the International Space Station currently is, so you can, you know, if you see some sort of storm or a landmass, you can see, oh, that's blah, blah, that's India, or that's Greenland or something, you know, wherever it's currently flying over, which is very cool too. Indeed, indeed. We're gonna have to feed Wolfie here in a moment. In un momento. But yeah, we're continuing on. I mentioned in the last episode myself and Wolfie, were on the BBC4 radio for a brief moment. Got a few comments of people saying, oh, they heard about me from there, and they came and checked out the Far Lands Are Bust, and some, you know, there wasn't too much explanation on the program. Obviously, the program wasn't specifically about Minecraft or even Far Lands Are Bust or Let's Plays. So they're like, you've been walking for 3 years and you're still not there yet? Yeah, they failed to mention the point where I said last March 1st was the end of Season 4, and that's where I press F3. F3 gives you the coordinates of your player in the world, and I am currently, on March 1st, I was, oh, what is the number? Oh, I forgot the number. It's not as easy to remember as the other ones were. 1479940. Nga! 1,400,000 blocks from spawn. 00, that is. The Far Lands are at 12,500,000 blocks, each block being a meter. So I'm about 12-ish% of the way there. Obviously a little bit further now. It's been a couple months since I pressed F3, but I don't press F3 until those special moments that we share together. About voice cracking, apparently. Those special live stream Flavathons, end of the season celebrations, previously tied to the charity donations. I would set a goal, and when we reach them is when I would press F3. Now I'm taking more of a, I suppose, casual approach to the charities, and we don't have a specific goal, but we're still raising money for Child's Play charity, and eventually we will be adding additional cherries, cherry pies, additional charities to help out and support throughout the interwebs that we can hopefully get behind and help out in the same way we've helped Child's Play charity for the past 3 years. So, yeah, I mean, there's always some information missing from different little things that are published throughout the internets about the series or Minecraft or Farlands or whatever. I mention them every once in a while. So if you keep watching my videos, yeah, this is a little a backhanded plug to continue watching and perhaps subscribe. But if you continue watching, you'll definitely start to understand what's going on here and what the whole deal is. It's more of a turned into a personal podcast of sorts. Like I said, we talk about space and internet and technology news and astronomy and stuff. So it's a lot of people don't even watch the video anymore. They'll just have it on in the background and listen to the soothing sounds of KurtJMac's voice. There's a mosquito in here. What is that? But yeah, so indeed, I thank you for checking out Far Lands Are Bust. If you did indeed find it via the radio show. All right, we gotta get up here, and then we'll make an elevated hidey-ho. And continue on in the morning. And a boop, and a boop. Woof, beep, bop, boop. All right, and there we go. All right, let's, do I have the torch? Yeah, let's go to sleep, and we'll continue in the morning. And awakeness. Woof. Woof indeed, Wolfie. Woof indeed. So yeah, a little bit of a, I guess, an anecdotal story. Yesterday, left the house for the first time in weeks. No, well, that might be more accurate than I'm willing to admit. But left the house, I had to get my vehicle emissions test done. Those of you who aren't aware, I wasn't familiar. It's apparently a state-by-state thing. I think California was the first to really adopt vehicle emissions testing, but other states in the United States have followed suit, and Illinois being one of them, for a while anyway. They basically, you have to get your vehicle tested in order to be able to renew the vehicle registration every year, and it basically, the theory is it tests your emissions so that your car isn't, I mean, it's not about miles per gallon or fuel use. It's just about, I suppose, smog or other pollutants and whatnot. I think, because your car could get 2 miles to the gallon and it could still pass the emissions test. But yeah, you got to go in and get the emissions test. And I wrote a Twitter because I pulled up and middle of Tuesday, it was really busy, and there were like 30 cars, and I just found it mildly ironic from an environmental standpoint that there were about 30 cars sitting in line, all with their engines running, but in park, waiting to have their emissions test. So here's these cars just with their engines running, like I said, burning fuel, waiting to get their emissions test. It actually didn't take too long. I waited maybe 5-10 minutes, maybe. They had all the lanes open. But regardless, kind of a weird thing. We don't have to pay, well, quotations, we don't have to pay, although I'm sure the cost is bundled into our ever continually rising registration costs that we have to pay every year. But there's no fee to get our vehicle emissions tested. And it used to be that you would go in and they would actually stick something up your tailpipe. They would stick a sensor or something up your tailpipe. They would put a fan in front of the car and they would actually rev the engine, and I guess they would take readings of your literal emissions. But the rules recently changed, which is a little bit mind-boggling. I'm sure there's a lot of bureaucracy involved, and it's just shuffling paperwork is really all it boils down to, as opposed to what I'm sure is the original intent of emissions testing is to get improperly performing cars and pollutants out of our streets and out of our air. But now it's just they plug into your car's computer via the whatever that serial port is underneath your steering wheel. Take a couple seconds, take a couple readings, whatever. I'm sure the car just says, all right, the car is running fine, and then they say, okay, you passed. I think the main way you can fail is if you have a check engine light, and then you have to get it serviced or whatever. But yeah, and because of that, I remember it was maybe about 2005 or something that they changed those rules. It just seemed silly because all of a sudden at that point, okay, all cars built before 1995 are excluded from the test. And I'm like, wait a minute, isn't it the old, broken, and improperly running cars, the ones that we want to get off the roads? The purpose of this test? Why are we suddenly excluding cars made before 1995? Obviously, it's because those cars didn't have these computers that you could plug into. They couldn't be tested by the new method. But it's just that just kind of was a little bit mind-boggling on its own regard. But who cares? It's something I did and got done with, and it passed. People were sending me posts on Twitter. Oh, you should have your engine running to make sure you passed. I was in no danger of not passing. Sure, it's a 10-year-old car I'm driving, but I was in no danger of not passing, so I wasn't worried about that. I suppose if I was driving a car from 1996 that was, you know, on its last legs, I would be a little bit concerned. But yeah, that was never an issue. But yeah, I found that to be kind of weird when those rules changed. But oh well. So yeah, I got that done, and yeah, people were saying, oh, I don't have to do that. But yeah, it's around, I think it's probably all of Illinois that has to get that done, and definitely Chicago, obviously, and whatnot. But yeah, emissions testing is indeed a thing we have to do here in the United States. In the United States. Well, no, well, I don't know. Other states, maybe not, but at least in Illinois and California, I know, I think Colorado and maybe New York and elsewhere have these, you know, places with large cities and hubs of pollution, I'm sure, are the places that get that done. Ooh, that's a chasm down to a little lake. Chasm. Woof. I've been trying to consciously head a little bit north. I don't know if I'm making a difference. People keep saying I'm listing to the left. Because when I did last press F3, whoa! When I did, well, careful Wolfie, careful Wolfie. No. Oh, I'm not being careful myself. And here Wolfie is the one who very accurately made it through that series of challenges. But look at this challenge. This is definitely a spawner. And indeed it is. And since it is very visible and accessible, I will explore it. Hopefully there's no golden record. It's a zombie spawner, for sure. Yep, indeed. Here, I'm sure, is a chest. I will take the iron and nothing else. I really have no space for anything else. And here's the other chest. A couple saddles, more iron, I'll take. Cocoa beans. Put away the sand. All right, this was a very... This is how the the dungeons should be for us. Two little bumps for easily identifying where the chests are and continue on. Very simple. Not having to dig out the entire place or battle any of the zombies that spawned. How convenient. Of course, back on episode 300, we did find a golden apple, and we are carrying that with us as a memento. The netherrack I got back on episode 200. We left all of our glowstone back at the previous F3 monument at 1479940. Back at the beginning of this season. I've been doing too much with the BBC. You guys call season series is over there. I should stop using the diamond sword for cutting down trees. I have shears. I should use the shears. Shears a sheep and the trees. Indeed. So let me look at some of these questions that came in from through the donations to Child's Play charity over at farlandsbus.com. We have from an anonymous donor a question about politics, and I know I talk a lot about net neutrality and the FCC and the way Comcast is kind of buying their way into that, and you know, I touch on politics every now and again, but I don't try to get too in-depth into politics. You know, Farlands Bust is kind of a lighthearted, silly series. I like to talk about happy things and fun things, and every once in a while we tap on a serious topic. So I'm not saying that I don't like being political, or that I avoid political conversation. Certainly, it's something that affects all of us. And hi, speaking, whoa, this guy has differing political views. Ow! Careful, Wolfie. Careful me. All right, Wolfie, where are you at? There he is. All right. See, you start talking about politics, and one thing leads to the other, and the next thing you know, you got arrows being shot at you by skeletons. And that's in the real world, not Minecraft. But anyway, this question comes in. I was basically going to say, you know, it's worth knowing and being up on your politics and having opinions and whatnot, but perhaps choosing your platforms on which to talk and have these discussions, and Farlands Bus really isn't that platform. But I'm just going to really briefly answer a little bit about this question. Do you think that people can reverse the trend of the last 40-some years of dirty politics and dark money, quote-unquote? Obviously talking a little bit about the fact that there are corporations like your Comcast who give to different political interests in order to get their own interests, that of abolishing things like net neutrality, having someone like Tom Wheeler become the head of the FCC, who was previously a lobbyist for cable companies and providers exactly like Comcast and Time Warner and whatnot, and that goes everything from Comcast and companies like that to military providers of military equipment. Your Halliburtons and things, and even from SpaceX is currently. They put a lawsuit against the U.S. Air Force and the U.S. government because they had no bid contract to their satellite launches for military. They weren't. SpaceX wasn't even allowed to say, "Hey, we would like to bid on this contract to launch military satellites." They weren't even given the chance. So they're talking about that, and there's obviously money is involved with that. But let's go to sleep, and we will continue to briefly discuss this in the morning. Ooh, that moon is rising fast. The rotation of the Earth has increased. And awakeness. Are we all good? We're all good. I kind of stayed up quite late there. Hopefully, gotta watch out for creepers right now. But yeah, I hope. I think it has to be, in order to answer the question, do you think it's possible to reverse the trend? It has to be, because it is not at all a viable way to continue running the government and, by extension, the world. The world as it goes. And it's not just an American. A United States problem. It's a problem throughout the world. It's a little bit more apparent in America because if you ever talk to anybody across the pond in the UK, their elections are run much differently than ours. Ours, somebody gets elected, they already turn around and start campaigning for the next election 2-4 years down the line. As opposed to in the UK and other countries, it's more, immediate and within, it's not so much, you're not getting inundated with commercials and the cycle of constant elections and trying to remain in office. And that's part of the problem. Part of the problem is the redistricting of Congress. It's one of those, just look it up. There was a good Vlogbrothers video, I think it was Hank Green, who did about, or was it John? It might have been John Green, who did something about, one of the major problems is the fact that the congressional members are the ones who draw the districts. That is, the borders about which communities are their constituents. And if you look at, even it's very apparent in Chicago, where there's different enclaves of communities. Okay, these streets right here have a lot of Spanish-speaking constituents who tend to vote this way or the other, so we'll draw the line, and it goes like street by street around this little community here is wealthy, so we'll have this drawn around this, and it's a really backwards way. It really only acts to secure certain members and certain parties to have strongholds, and of course these sorts of things are once again perpetrated by money being influenced in politics. But I wanted to bring this up because recently, May 1st, and it's up to you. I'm just giving you this as information, but there is talking about reversing the trend, there is a big movement called May1.us. It's a crowdsourced super PAC. Again, hard to explain, but a PAC, PAC, is a way for a movement or a political interest to raise a lot of money, like millions of dollars, in order to then put that money towards candidates for election or re-election. They're all over the place, and that's one of the problems that these PACs, they're not supposed to technically have political affiliations. There's really strange rules and about how much money you can raise versus this or that, or individuals versus companies, and it's very confusing. And that's part of the problem, too, is that this May1.us is launched by Lawrence Lessig, who is a very prominent political academic, and he's very adamant in spreading the word about things like net neutrality and copyright reform, and in this case, political election funding reform. And they're trying to raise, before the end of May, $1 million in a Kickstarter-like campaign. If they don't raise $1 million, they're not going to do anything, and nobody's going to pay anything. But they're going to try to raise $1 million and then use that money to back 5 congressional candidates who they select that are specifically all about reform and changing these trends of dirty politics and dark money, like you say. Question asker. Ooh, up here on a cliff. Let's go down here. And, you know, on the site they say, yes, it is ironic that we're trying to get money out of politics by raising money, but this is the way, instead of having a corporation or a group of corporations or very special interests, very, you know, either based on wealth or you know, family or whatever. This is the way that the people could be able to... Ooh. Oh, well done. Skilled block placement. Wolfie, careful, Wolfie, careful, Wolfie, careful, Wolfie! Yeah, alright, he spawned. So, yeah, they realize the irony there, but this is kind of a first test. They're calling it a moonshot. But if it works, and if they are able to, you know, they're able to kind of test the waters to see if this works, then there will be a bigger campaign for 2016 to see if they can do that. And like I said, that's the website is May1, all spelled out, MAYONE.US. And you know, it's a very interesting attempt at reversing that trend. So I would indeed, personally, that's something I would support. You know, because otherwise, what can we do? You know, that's always the biggest excuse from voters or regular citizens is like, okay, sure, Comcast makes $14 billion in profits and is able to apply that to have the laws changed and adjusted so that they can make even more profits, and we have less say and control. What can I do? I only make, you know, a very pittance personally on that, and I only have one vote. And I don't have control over my district because it's been drawn around my house so that I can't vote for this guy. I have to vote for this guy, you know. So this is kind of a way that they're attempting to get the people back into politics, I suppose. So it's a cool thing. I'm keeping track of that to see if that is something that works, to see if that is kind of a shift in the trend. Shift in the trend. There's no shift in the trends here in Far Lands or Bust. We are continuing to trend westwards. How do you like that segue? I am amazing. Let's see here. From Ocelot 1996. 1996, you would have to subject your car to emissions testing, because you're not before 1995. But Ocelot 1996 asked, do you ever look back at your first episodes? Not too frequently at all, ever. It's a pretty difficult thing to watch. If you look back on the early episodes of Far Lands or Bust, the microphone quality, the voice quality, I don't have the skills to have those awesome segues like I just the display of professionalism I just had. It's difficult. I talked about different things that I might not talk about now, and it's not, you know, I don't go out of my way to watch the old videos. You know, it's just one of those things. It is kind of one of the cool things about YouTube, as opposed to your Twitches or your other kind of live platforms, is that it acts as an archive that anybody, once they do find Far Lands or Bust or a channel or a series, they can look back and see the origins. You can look back and see that first shout out to Good and BOO that eventually got me talking to those guys and then got me invited to the Mindcrack server. You can look back and, you know, pinpoint the exact moment I got Wolfie and or the previous wolves I had before that, before they got lost. Very strange things, and that's kind of one of the reasons I have the Far Lands Bust flashbacks, because a lot of people aren't going to go back and watch 351 episodes of a series to catch up. Although I wouldn't dissuade you from doing that. Although YouTube dissuades you by having a very difficult playlist organization, but yeah. I don't actively look back on those episodes, but they're there. They are there. Indeed. 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 Yeah, I'm trying to think of... yeah, that's something in this whole thing about getting rid of YouTube shows I'm starting to do, because I have to go back and edit those tags in those categories, so I do end up, oh yeah, I remember this episode, sort of thing. Or I remember when that happened, and it's kind of cool to look back on that, but I'm much happier with the quality. I was having a lot of problems with my old computer playing Far Lands or Bust. The game kept, like, obviously I get the jitteriness, I get the jitteriness, which is associated with the imprecision getting so far out from spawn, but I was actually getting actual, like, lag and frame drops back on my old computer before I built this one that I'm glad I have resolved. It was kind of associated with fraps and the speed of the drives I was recording to and fragmentation, but also the Far Lands or Bust world, and I'm much happier with the direction I've brought the channel and whatnot, and I hope you are too. And you can continue to watch me and the channel evolve and progress if you subscribe. Oh, shameless. Oh man, well done. Hey Wolfie, how you doing? Are you gonna... Okay, that's fine. Stay right there. Oh, we got some sand. Indeed. Indeed. Thank you very much for watching this episode. Oh, there goes that shovel. Do I have another one? No, I don't. Alright, make a shovel, make a pickaxe as well while you're at it. As well as some beds. Thank you very much for watching episode 352 of Far Lands or Bust. Ooh. I started that sentence at too high of an octave and I could not recover. Pop, 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 pop. Every little like and thing like that help. That is not a workbench, Kurt. That is not a workbench. Where is my workbench? There it is. Everything like that helps. I do appreciate it, and I do appreciate those of you who have found Far Lands Bust recently through whatever mean, be it the radio or other internets or wherever. Thank you for coming along for the journey. All right, let's make another boat. And oh, that's right, and a shovel and a pick. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1. Yeah, speed crafting. And I hope you continue to watch and continue to support our charity fundraiser over at farlandsorbust.com and ask questions with your donations. I do appreciate it. I'm just full of appreciation today. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Kurt. I will see you next time.